BBC Maestro, Brian Cox's course on acting. So there are loads of these different Maestro courses to do with different skills and different sort of lanes. Yours is fantastic, Brian.
Oh, that's very kind of you.
I watched
you.
11 of the lessons last
I'm very
night.
impressed.
There are 25 to watch. There's 82 pages of PDFs you can download. And the lessons are all bite-sized, anything from 8 minutes to 13 minutes. And a lot of it is you to camera. Then you also have guests on as well. You've been waiting for a while to do this, haven't you?
I've wanted to do something like this for some time, because teaching was I started teaching when I was ridiculously young. In fact, my first group that I taught, which was at Lambda, which was in 1970. As long ago as that, and Harriet Walter was in my first group. Dame Harriet Walter. She had long hair, huge long black hair right down her back, and she's Christopher Lee's niece, and she was one of my students. So and I was. I was the guy who ran the school, said, this was Lambda, he said, you should come and teach. And I said, I'm far too young. He said, no, you're just right, because you've just had the experience of it. And it was a very good lesson because I'd just come out of drama school, so I could actually relate about how difficult it is to make the transition from being a student to being a working actor.
Lesson number 2 is study the greats. You're now a great, so people are studying you and
God, yes.
hearing from you. You talk about Spencer Tracy, don't you? And you show clips and Lawrence of Arabia and Peter O'Toole. Just give us some more people who inspired you over the years and why.
Well, a lot of actors have inspired me. George C. Scott, of course, Brando, at his best. I think Tracy. I think Tracy emerges as really the finest screen actor I've ever seen, by none, because of his just delicacy of the way he does. He's always immediate, that you don't feel, oh, it's Marlon Brando. You don't feel, oh, it's Spencer Tracy. It's just, he's there. He does it.
Yeah,
he's the man.
He's communicating the material.
Yeah, he is, very much so.
And you allude so many times in various different lessons. I say I've watched 11 or 12. I had to turn it off last night. I thought I'm not going to get any sleep here to do what I do for a living. I don't want to let you down in the interview. But you talk a lot about getting out of your own way.
Yeah.
Don't you? I mean, all the time is that's the repetitive theme.
I think it's true. I think the thing about kids, and it's understandable, they have, when they're new to it, and especially when it's. I love drama training. I believe in it. I heard about a casting director who shall be nameless, so I shan't say his name, though I was going to, who actually said he wouldn't cast anybody who went to drama school. If anybody studied, he wouldn't cast them, which I think is shameful, absolutely shameful. Because my drama training was, I learned to think. That's what it did for me. I learned how to read a script. I learned to think. I had some great teachers, and I was so grateful for it because I was an oik from Dundee, even though I had been working in the theatre for a couple of years, so I knew about that. But I still had an accent you could cut with a knife. I mean, nobody could understand me. I wouldn't even bother to deign to do a Dundee accent because it is so extraordinary. Because this is how they speak in Dundonian. If you say, I've eaten everything, okay?
Yeah.
I've eaten everything. This is how they would say it in Dundee.
Nice.
That's it.
Yeah, well, thanks for keeping it real this morning.
So, anyway, where were we?
No, we were talking about acting school, drama teachers, casting directors.
When I went there, I was, I did a lot of teaching, and there was a crisis at the school very, very early on, and I've kept in association with it over years, and I do believe in it because for me, everybody goes on about the 60s, but nobody realizes what the 60s was like in terms of social mobility. You were not judged, you were welcomed. I had a full grant. I mean, it was 15 years after the war, and we weren't very rich, but they were able to give me, a kid from a widowed mother, a full grant. I had all my expenses paid. I had everything paid. So it was an extraordinary time.
I'm forever grateful because of it.
Forever grateful because of it.
Your introduction is beautiful. I think you can watch the intro for free. I'm not sure, on BBC Maestro. And also they're doing these gifts for Christmas, which is great. So I got a gifted code from the BBC. Thank you, the BBC. It's the best thing I had from them for a while. But I couldn't be more grateful for everything I have had in the past, let me tell you. But you do talk about the fact fact that you fell in love with the pictures as a kid. You call it the pictures cinema. We used to call them the pictures as well in the Northwest. And you saw what was going on the screen and you thought, I want a bit of this.
Yeah.
Just tell me about that, because a lot of people enjoy music and they enjoy art and they enjoy the movies and they're just happy to be in the audience. But you thought, no, I want a bit of this.
Yeah, I just think it's, you know, I mean, I've had I was very blessed. I had it right from the word go. I mean, I can't remember not wanting to be anything else. And of course, I used to go to in my hometown, there were 21 picture houses. 21. Wow. I mean, now there's about 3. But I went to every single one from the age of, and this is the other thing, of course, you know, we wouldn't let a kid out now. Yeah. But I was traveling the world when I was 6. You know, going to various cinemas and sneaking into cinemas, cheating in, getting getting an auntie to
staying
pay for
2 shows.
Staying for 2 shows.
I used to do that all the time.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm classic. I remember 1956 watching Giant. I was 10 and I fell asleep in the cinema and I had to break out the cinema at 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. The Greens Playhouse in Dundee, and I got stopped by the police, you know, in the TARDIS box. This voice as I was running down the high street of Dundee saying, "Where are you going, young man?" And I went, What? Sorry. I said, where
all
are you
the way.
going?
You should have said, I'm going all the way, officer.
But I mean, that's what I love about it is to me, it's about being human. It's about us.
Yeah.
That's what I love about the theatre. And why I watch these old, you know, I'm a Turner Classic Movies addict. I mean, I can get it on VPN, which is great. So I watch it, I mean, like an addict, just to see how those older actors did it. And, you know, they go on about Brando and all that, but, you know, the actors were doing amazing stuff long before Brando. I mean, and just extraordinary.
James Dean, Giant, what a movie.
All of that.
The cinematography in that movie is
incredible.
A lot of people wouldn't have heard of that movie. You've got to watch Giant. No wonder you fell asleep, because it is quite long.
It's long, but actually...
and you're only 10 at the time.
And it's on, you can get it on Turner Classic. They do it, they've got it's there actually at the moment, and Giant is an amazing movie. Lawrence
of Arabia again, and you know, another longer film. The way you talk about Peter O'Toole, I'm guessing you knew him because you talk about him so affectionately.
I did. I got to. It was right at the end actually of his career, and it was when I was doing Troy, and my first day on Troy was I had to kill Peter O'Toole. And Peter O'Toole was my idol. I mean, I was virtually peeing myself because I thought, I'm sitting waiting around all day to kill Peter O'Toole. So I'm sitting in my, you know, and they're not ready for you. Oh, okay. No, they're not ready for you. And they had a problem with because I spear them. So they had an effect where it came out the front. So they were doing all that before I got there. And of course, I think Peter was well pissed off by this then. So by the time I arrived at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, having been sitting there since 7 o'clock in the morning to do this scene, and there's the great Peter O'Toole, and there's me, and I'm still... You know, I mean, I'm well past my 50s then, but I'm feeling like I'm 17.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, of course you are.
So I walk up and we do this scene, and I kill him, and he does that, and then he says to me afterwards, he said, "So how are your nerves now?" And I went, how did he know?
Yeah, well, you don't get nervous very often.
No, I don't. But that was pretty nerve-wracking.
You did then, yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Peter O'Toole, I used to live in Notting Hill, and there was this. It wasn't a knocking on the door, it's a banging on the door one Tuesday afternoon. And I thought, who the heck's that? And it was Peter O'Toole. And he'd come to play me some country and western in the kitchen. And my kitchen was in the basement. And we spent the whole afternoon while he strummed country and western songs.
Really? Was he a big country and western guy?
I don't know. I don't think so from the way he's playing them. But he was giving it a go. And he was due on the show. We had the show called TFI Friday on the Friday. And he was due to come on the Friday, and he just wanted to come and chew the fat before he appeared on the show. Extraordinary man.
Yeah, he was an amazing man.
Those ice blue eyes.
Yeah, he was incredible.
You know,
and he had this kind of quality, you know, because he was from a fairly. I mean, his father was a bookie, and he was half Scots. His mum was Scots. He was Irish, but he had this kind of effete sort of kind of kind of spiritual quality about him in a way. He was an
yeah.
extraordinary. He was very different from Albert and Alan Bates and Tom Courtney. He had a different kind of ethereal. He was much more ethereal.
There's a lightness to him, wasn't there?
There was a tremendous lightness.
He seemed to wisp in and wisp out.
Yeah, he was an astonishing man. I think he was a bit tough to live with, though.
Yeah, I would say so, and some. But when you're talking about talking to Brian Cox about this amazing thing it's called BBC Maestro, Brian Cox's course on acting, 25 lessons, an 82-page accompanying PDF. It's awesome. The way it's shot, whoever came up with it, whoever came up with the format, it's fantastic because it's not too long. It's sort of TED Talky kind of.
Yeah, and you've got to do it. You've got to get your points across. I mean, that's why the edit is so good because, I can go on a bit. So it's good to get it tight.
Yeah.
And especially when you're dealing with kids. And as you said very early on, kids get in their own way.
We all get in our own way.
Well, that's life. But and you're just trying to free them up and say, just be kinder to yourself. Just don't be so hard on yourself. Realize that you're also in a state of development and you're also in a state of learning.
Yeah.
So just be prepared to learn.
Yeah. And it never stops.
It never stops.
Don't think there's a finish line because that really every morning I come in here and I messed that up, didn't got that right, could do more of that every single day, today, tomorrow, every day.
Absolutely, and I think that's part of the part of what we do. That's our life. We get it right, then we get it wrong.
We're back live with Brian Cox, live from the top of the tower. That is the actor, not the professor. You surely must have appeared together, you two.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, I was very naughty, actually. There was an Empire Award that was given, and I was there to present a special one for Paul Greengrass. And I have a doctorate. I had 5 doctorates, so I'm officially a professor. Actually,
congratulations.
I mean, I don't really think about it, but anyway. So he's there, and I think. And we've had this thing with our names. By the way, he's such a delightful fellow. You probably met him. Yeah. He's a lovely man, absolutely lovely man. So he's doing the prize for the best actress, and I think, why is that? He doing the prize. So when it came, and the prize will be presented by Brian Cox. So I got up.
Did you?
I went up. And we both met on the podium, and I said, "What are you doing here, poor man?" He said, "Well, I've got to present this." I said, "Why?" I said, "Are you a member of this profession?" I said, "I am." "Well, why are you presenting? You're a physicist. You shouldn't be presenting this."
Hilarious.
And it was very funny. Anyway.
Good for you. All right, so BBC Maestro, Brian Cox's course in acting, a masterclass and some 25 lessons, and this accompanying 82-page PDF. It is awesome. Lessons from 8 minutes to 13 minutes. I particularly enjoyed the one where you met the casting director, who's, I presume, is a friend of yours.
Nancy Bishop, yeah.
Tell us a bit about Nancy.
Well, Nancy's, she's American. She's been working here for some time, and she casts a lot of, she does a lot of independent films, and she's a what I call a down and dirty casting director. Doing it, and she really knows, and she sees the problems that kids have, because one of the problems that kids have nowadays, and it's a horrible thing that's happened, is there's less personal contact. So there's all this, you have to do your own film. Self-taping, which is a nightmare. And, you've got to have the technical knowledge. But the other thing that really annoys me, and it really pisses me off, actually.
Sorry, Brian, I've got to ask you to stop saying that.
Oh, sorry.
I've been told to apologise for it once, and I haven't, so now I'll apologise for it twice.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I don't mind. It's just...
I'm sorry. Well, a thing that really annoys me...
You feel it pees me off.
Yes, it does pee me off. So... It's the fact, and I can't remember what it was.
Casting directors.
No, casting
self-taping.
No, it's
not
self-taping.
Live. Kids have enough trouble as it is anyway.
They have enough trouble, and they're expected to do it. But the other thing is, nobody gets back to them.
Right.
So they go through all this effort, and they're not even told thank you for doing that.
So if it's a no, it's just a silent no.
No, they don't even know, and they do all that work, and I just think common. Just politeness, and there's a great deal, a lack of it nowadays because of the way the industry is moving.
So, there's so much gold in every single one of these lessons, so Nancy sticks around so you then meet a young actress and you go through her self-taping together with Nancy, and that's amazing. Yeah. And speaking back to what you mentioned before, like yourself more, be a bigger fan of yourself more. This young actress is brilliant, but you say to her, the only thing I would say is give yourself more time. You're so good, give yourself more time.
Absolutely. I mean, that it's to empower. It's about empowering them to realize what their virtue is. And every kid has their own virtue because we're all different.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, even, and I've seen actors, you think, young actors, you think, there would be the consensus that this young actor wouldn't go anywhere. But they have their own time. And suddenly, after 2 years, when they've done an enormous amount of work, so it is possible to really improve yourself through drama training. Really.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would imagine you improve yourself with every role. I mean, whether it's Logan Roy, you just finished playing. Did you play Bach?
I played Bach. Yeah.
Yeah, and you were training for that because you mentioned that on the tapes as well. Yeah. And you bring something new to every role. Every role helps you discover something deep within yourself.
Absolutely.
So it's a two-way street, as it were.
Absolutely.
You talk about the truth a lot. Get the truth out there, get the words out. Sometimes you say, just say the damn words. And you give a great example of how you were coached or directed because you couldn't get this phrase out.
Right. Well, I mean, that's it. It really is. It's to love the language. I mean, we take language for granted now, and we don't realize how wonderful it is and how wonderful it serves you.
Yeah.
And these kids are in this wonderful position to deal with language and deal with it and make it their own.
Yeah.
That's what they have to do. You've got to say it's yours.
Yeah.
It doesn't belong to anybody else. It's yours. You can do
Enjoy
it. Just do it. Enjoy it and do it.
That phrase you had trouble with. She smells like amber.
Oh yeah.
just tell us about that.
Well, it was a play. I was doing a play called The Changeling, which is a Jacobean play, and it was at the Riverside Studios before you guys were in there.
Sorry about that.
When we ran it, we actually did all the conversion of that. It was done. This wonderful director called Peter Gill, and we used to do these workshops there before everybody took it over because nobody wanted it, and we had these amazing times. And I just learned so much by being so focused on the work and what we did, and it was just that, and it taught me how important it is just to keep working, keeps looking at what you do and why you do it.
But why did you have such trouble with the phrase "she smells like amber"?
Oh, it just smells like amber. Yes, that's the point. I was doing the play at night. It was The Changeling, and the line was "she smells all amber."
She smells all amber.
And I couldn't for the life of me say it. I didn't know what to say. She smells all amber. She smells all amber. I mean I'm thinking, I don't know. I don't know. And Peter Gill gave me the line, and she said, "She smells all amber." And then I did it. She smells all. I mean, I did it like every night. And then it hit me what it meant. Oh, what it means is she smells all amber. That's what it means.
Didn't he say to you, what does she smell like? Okay, imagine she smells like amber. Right, say it.
That's it. That was it.
Simple, isn't it?
No, I mean, it's such a simple thing that you get caught up with.
Yeah,
you think,
so
I don't know, it drives you nuts,
We've got to talk about Logan Roy while you're here. So, you say every part is it's important, but it's just another part. It's another role I inhabit. I'm going to have fun with it. I'm going to meet it in the middle. I'm going to find the truth within it. I'm going to hold a magnifying glass over it. I'm going to get that truth out there. One of the things you allude to is the fact that we all know when somebody isn't being truthful. Because you can't be a bit truthful. Either you're 100% telling the truth or you're lying. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And the reason that certain stories and certain productions hit home better than others is because they speak the truth. And as an audience member, you don't know you know it, but you do know it.
Exactly, you recognise it.
What tell us about the truth that you brought to Logan Roy. Tell us about the conversation you had yourself with him about him, and also tell us about his demise. Were you happy with the way he left the show?
I mean, people, when I left the show, I got lots of phone calls from people saying they weren't going to watch it anymore.
Right.
I said, no, that's it, we're not going to watch it anymore. And I go, it's called Succession.
Yeah.
You have to see the Succession. That's the whole point.
Also, you weren't looking for their vote, were you?
No, exactly. And I just said, watch the show, see it, go through with it. And what was great about Logan is that the audience didn't really understand him, which is what I loved. They thought he was this brutal person, but he wasn't. He's brutal in the way that he does it. But his greatest weakness, and also perhaps his strength, but actually his greatest weakness, is he loves his children. if he didn't love his children, he'd be a lot better off. He wouldn't have had any of the problems.
Yeah.
But because, and of course, my favourite line in the whole show was, finally I got to say it, and my penultimate episode, I love you, but you're not serious people. And that was, it was such a great line, and it just said everything. It completely commented on 4 seasons of what the struggle was for Logan. And I just thought, this man has not been understood. All he wants is one of his kids to take over the firm. I know you can argue on what he is politically or what have you, but that's all he wants. He wants his children to do it, and none of them are up to it. They are devious, they are recalcitrant, they are just ridiculous, those children. Absolutely ridiculous. And of course, naturally, the one person who helps him when he has UTI is his son-in-law, Tom. Yeah. Tom's going to get the prize because of his kindness,
Yeah.
And also he's already arranged with Skarsgård, probably at the end of season 3, that he knows where it's going to go. And he passes. Now, about his passing, it was a bit sudden, I have to say, because I thought, let me get into it.
Yeah.
But it was also brilliant. And that's where you trust the writer. You go, it was a brilliant thing because it was shocking. It was truly shocking. Nobody expected it.
It was so quick, wasn't it?
And it was ridiculous for me because I was never there.
Yeah.
I just said, because there was some other body lying there on the floor, not me.
Literally some other body.
I did have to do one shot where they had my hand or something near my ear. It was my ear, that was what it was. But that was it. I was never there, and so I never felt my passing at all. It was gone. I was there and I was gone. And it was weird. And when we got to the funeral, I thought, wow, my ma, who was... I come from a Catholic family. My mother would have been over the moon by the way I was buried.
What a funeral. I mean, you wouldn't have gone to that just because as a fan, would you? You wouldn't have gone to filming that you don't have to go to.
Well, there's an interesting story about that because they didn't want to give away that Logan had died.
Oh, right.
So they wanted me to come to the funeral on the day. And I was driving up there, and then they said, because they were going to do a phony scene to mislead people.
Yeah.
And I was driving up to the studio when they said, "Oh no, you have to go back. We're not going to shoot that scene." And I said no. And I said to the driver, "Take me to the studio. Take me." Well, actually, it was to the church where it's happening. I said because I know they're going to be paparazzi there, so I need to be there so that they can see that I'm not in that coffin.
Right.
And luckily enough, I did. Otherwise, if I hadn't done that, the game would have been up.
Wow. I mean, that was some scene though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Did they literally stop the traffic for that?
Oh, yeah. They stopped everything. And of course, the most amazing thing was Kieran's performance, which I thought was so astonishing. And when he breaks down, when he finally it all falls to pieces, it was a great show. And Jesse and those writers were just wonderful to work with.
Yeah, you can have all the stories you like, but if the story's too big,
That's
you're not
right.
going to be able to keep it up.
And also the fact is it doesn't go past its sell-by date.
Yeah.
He knew when to conclude it, and it was brilliant. A lot of those shows, they just go on, and they don't have any sense of completion.
Yeah. Is it a career? Could you say it was a career-defining role, even though you've done so many other things, or is it just another arrow in the quiver?
Well, I would like to think of it as another arrow in the quiver, or a quiver on the arrow. But it has. I have to accept it has been. When you're described as being a local legend to light the Christmas lights, the local, and you go.
This was yesterday.
This was yesterday, and I go. I'm still uneasy about it. I do mourn my anonymity. I mean, people used to say, I know. Oh, yeah, you were, was it you? Oh,
no,
yeah, it was
definitely you.
But now with Logan Roy, everybody wants me to do that famous phrase, which of course I cannot do on radio here.
Yeah, that'd be great. We're having trouble with peed off. We've got no chance with, the next elevation of that. You talked about Kieran then. We talked about Macaulay Culkin earlier because Macaulay received his star on the Walk of Fame yesterday. You were talking about It's never too late to act. You say that in the course. You say, it's never too late to act. You can start acting at the age of 80 if you want. And by the way, they need actors who are 80 plus. Talking about Bill Nighy. Bill Nighy he wasn't discovered properly until later in life by accident via Richard Curtis's movie. I mean, it is never too late. You also open the whole series, these masterclasses on BBC Maestro, talking to a little 2-3-year-old, teaching them Shakespeare. Who is that?
He's a guy called, he's now 16. So that was, and
he's only the cutest kid in the world.
He was called Theo. He was 2.5, and we were celebrating. It was actually literally at this time of year, before Christmas, and I was staying in my friend's house in Drummond. He lives in Scotland. John Archer. He's a documentary producer, and Theo was his little boy, and I could see that Theo was really quite good with language. So I just tried this experiment, and John literally shot it. I didn't, it wasn't meant to be shot. It was just I wanted to see how this little boy would deal with stuff. And it was just, to me, it's a revelation, because what he does in that video is that he just gets distracted. He's 2.5. He talks about his action men or something that is in the corner, and he gets taken. But then when he comes back to it, he does this extraordinary moment when he goes, the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, and he makes this gesture with his arms. He goes, the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, and does this with his arms. Nobody told him to do that.
Because he's in it, isn't he?
That's him. That was him doing it. And you go, that's the part. And everybody has imagination. And particularly at that age, we're riddled with imagination because we don't know what's real and what's not real. That's what it is.
Well, there are 25 lessons, and they've all got their own sort of subtitle. But then within each episode, there are all these little, again, more subtitles. Imagination is one of them. Creativity is another one. Confidence is another one. Brian, it's great. I don't think I'm going to take up acting any day soon, but you do start off the whole thing with, we all act every day anyway.
Every day.
People say, oh, well, you know me, I'm just myself. No, you're not. Good luck with that. Nobody's themselves.
No,
if only
nobody,
we could be.
Nobody. We're constantly made to act despite ourselves.
Yeah. Listen, you're late for Talk Sport. You got to go. It's great to see you, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris. That was lovely.
It's great to see you. Local legend, Brian Cox on the show. Amazing. Off to Talk Sport now. Thank you.